Okay, do I actually have volume right now? Technical difficulties. Hello, happy Tuesday. My name is Julie. I am a wedding and brand photographer based in Austin, Texas. And yeah, today is what's brewing behind the scenes. Basically where I make my afternoon coffee right now and talk about what's happening behind the scenes in my business. And hi, Tom. And yeah, what's going on, different tips and different things that I've learned kind of along the way. So welcome and thank you for joining. How's your Tuesday today? Is everyone else enjoying the amazing weather? I don't know what's happening right now. It's not normal for Texas to be. It was, I think, 68 yesterday. I don't know what the temperature is right now, but it's pretty sick amazing. Pretty much we should all just be outside right now. I should be doing my live outside right now. I will make coffee in my carport. Just kidding. All right, right now I'm just measuring my coffee beans that I've ground pretty coarsely. I'm gonna do about 28 grams. It's usually 29 is what they suggest, but I don't want it to be too strong. Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna make it 27, just to keep it interesting. I actually went, and my son, my baby, Ash, is starting preschool next week. So we went, and he went for about like 45 minutes today by himself. Ash is doing good. We will talk about that in a second. But he, yeah, and so to try out the school, I've just been like letting him play outside for a little bit every morning. And yeah, this morning he was super cute. So I went and got a coffee from a little coffee shop around the corner called Manana. It's in the South Congress Hotel. It's stupid expensive, but like, whoa, one of the best cups of coffee I've had in a really long time. I'm gonna ask them what their secret is tomorrow, because it was just their brewed coffee and it was just so rich and good. But yes, oh, hello, Miss Margaret. So yeah, what happened last night that was pretty crazy, I'm gonna tell you as I'm making my coffee, is that our 18-month-old Ash was sleeping. We were all sleeping. I mean, he hasn't been sick or anything. He's been doing totally normal and fine. And he woke up at about like 9:45, 10 p.m., like screaming. Basically gave me a little bit of a heart attack. I went in, I basically think now that he had a night terror, which I didn't know that you could have a night terror at 18 months. I thought like Gray has had them before, but he was like 4, which is I think a much more normal age to have a night terror at. But basically a night terror is pretty much, I don't even know what it is. Nobody really knows what happens, but it just gives every parent a heart attack, where your child wakes up, but they're not really awake and they're not acting like themselves. They can't look at you, they can't focus. So Ash was literally like kind of stiff as a board. He was like, his eyes were like open, but not really open, definitely not seeing. He was like screaming, and then he stopped screaming, and he couldn't like hold himself up, and his muscles were twitching. It was just pretty much every parent's worst nightmare. And then they finally wake up, and it's like totally normal. It lasted for about 15 or 20 minutes, so it was pretty scary. I would call Ash's name, and he like couldn't focus on me. He really couldn't focus. He couldn't like hold himself up, and his muscles were just twitching. It was totally freaky. So I was by myself. My husband had just left to go somewhere and to go back to his shop, and so I called him back and was planning to be like, okay, if I need to go to the hospital, I can go to the hospital, and then I called an ambulance. So yeah, so we had about 6 paramedics, ambulance people in our living area last night. It was pretty scary. So yeah, has anybody else ever called an ambulance? I need to stand here so I can get y'all support. Has anybody else called an ambulance? They're so nice. This time I did call an ambulance once with Gray when he was a baby, when he first had croup. I don't know if anyone's babies had croup before, but it's basically an inflammation of their esophagus, and then they can't breathe, and then they don't know what's happening, and they freak themselves out, and then they can't breathe even more. And they have this cough that's like a seal bark. Anyways, it happens really fast and really scary sometimes, and some children just lean towards it more than others. Now, I pretty much know that Gray has a croup cough every time he really gets sick. So now Ash has what we think was night terrors, but it was really scary and really traumatic. I think they said before that night terrors, you know that it was a night terror if your child wakes up and has no memory, but you as the parent are traumatized. It's a nightmare if the child remembers and they're the one who's traumatized and us as a parent are not traumatized. So yeah, it's really... Anna, has your daughter ever had night terrors? I think there's around like 4 to 8 is when they say is like the normal range. I Googled it right afterwards because the paramedics were pretty much like, they checked him all out and stayed for a little bit and kind of just talked to us and made sure that he was fine. I think he was kind of coming to a little bit when the paramedics, right before the paramedics got there, and then the paramedics got there and I think they like kind of shocked him awake even more. It's really scary just because they are awake but not really awake. When it happened to Gray, when Gray had a night terror, he was screaming for mommy and for daddy, and we're like right in front of his face. He like peed on Chris and was just so terrible. So just know that that's what happens sometimes when your children, and then they wake up completely normal and they don't even really know why it happens, like what happens in their brains that's something that happens. But some kids lean towards it more than others, and it can become like a regular thing. Sometimes it can even happen like every night at a certain time, and I think it's whatever's specific to their sleep cycle. Sometimes it can happen, but it was pretty traumatic. So I may have cried a little bit this morning. Or last night when they left. But I was just so relieved that he was fine. Like a night terror I can handle. Anything else I don't even want to think about. So yeah, if it's just a night terror, then we're lucky. But it just kind of reminds you too that everything can change in a minute, right? In an instant, everything can change. And it just reminds me again to be grateful for the current moment that we have, for 2 healthy boys that are healthy and happy. And sometimes I can get so down in the dumps about, am I being a good mom? Am I doing this all right? Am I messing them up for life? What am I doing that's messing them up, right? Because as parents, we can't do it perfectly, and we're going to mess them up in some way. They're going to have to go to therapy for some reason. But yeah, really, if that's all we have to worry about, we're lucky. So yeah, that's my trauma for the day, for last night and this morning. So I hope nobody else has to go through that, but do know that an 18-month-old can have a night terror, which is crazy. Oops, I forgot my book. So now I've got my cup of coffee. I'm actually a little bit nervous because my coffee from Manana, anyone who lives in Austin, if you ever want to treat yourself, please go to Manana and have a cup of coffee. Just their drip coffee. So good. That was my pediatrician. You know where else has really good coffee is the Hotel Van Sant. I did a wedding there in May. It's so pretty. And I went down to get coffee and I was like, how much is the coffee? And then it was the best cup of coffee I had in a really long time. So guys, just a tip for Austinites or people that are coming to visit. Manana and Hotel Van Sant, their little coffee shop, has excellent coffee. We gotta know these things, right? We gotta stick together because we have to know where all the good coffee is in Austin. Okay, so I wanted to just talk about some of the things that I've been doing, thinking, reading about, filling my mind with, and then also talk a little bit more about the client experience. So sent out a newsletter this morning. Again, I've had such good feedback and it's been so exciting about my freebie for how to wow, top 5 tips for how to wow your clients, and just really talking about the client experience. And we talk so much about how do we book more clients, and how do we create a thriving business that's going to like stand the test of time, and just really allow you to work smarter, not harder, and to have a thriving business for as long as you want it. So, bye Tom, love you, bye Poppy. So yes, all of that, really just having these different funnels that bring us new clients and bring us referrals, and how can we kind of create a channel that continues to give to us and continues to send us qualified leads. We get cold leads, say like from just Google, or say from Yelp or Wedding Wire and different things like that, and that's great. But to really have those qualified leads that come from a warm place, so come from a coordinator that's referring you, or coming from another bride that booked you. So these are some of the those are warm leads, are like gold to a business owner, right? They're already coming to you from a recommendation from someone else. I feel like in my generation and younger, we are all really expecting or wanting, to be led a warm lead somewhere, or to be, referred somewhere. I can't even tell you, if I'm looking for someone, the first thing I do is reach out to forums, reach out to different people that I respect and that I love, and then ask them their opinion for who I should reach out to. So having a warm lead, someone that's referred you, or coming from a good place, is just gold, and really create that kind of thriving business that can last you 10 plus years, right? So we're going to talk more about that in a minute, but I'm going to talk about a couple things that I am loving right now. So this is totally random, but you guys know about my obsession with styling stuff, and I showed you my makeup hanger that I got from Target for styling, and I've kind of been outgrowing it a little bit. Like, it's just a little overstuffed, and I actually want to go shopping for some gold trays and for some different coasters and different things that I can style on and kind of create some layers and some elements. But I went to Target and I got this bad boy. It's not the prettiest thing you ever seen. So this is just in the makeup aisle. If you're a guy, don't worry. You guys can have makeup too, so go and get yourself a makeup kit. But this one's really kind of perfect for in supplement to the other one that I have. So this really just has 2 zipper pockets on either side, and just, it's thicker, right? So I can kind of put more like trays and different things like that are have a little bit more weight than just, say, the makeup bag was a little bit flatter and needed to be, and so it could be rolled up. So this one's really great. I just have some bowls in here and some of my muslin, I don't even know what you call that, fabric that I use for styling to soften things. So I'm really excited. This middle part is another little zipper area. I bet I could see myself putting more stamps or more ribbons or anything else that I need. And it has little pockets. I get those for makeup brushes, but I'm sure I can figure out a reason or something to put in there. But I was just really excited about this find. And yeah, more room for more styling pieces. I'm really excited about that. So, more coffee. The other thing that I've been listening to and reading is, obviously I'm still listening to High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. I am obsessed with it. I have already signed up for his conference that's called the Influencer. I think he has an Influencer magazine, and then now he's having his first conference called Influencer, and it's going to be in San Diego, and I signed up for it, and I'm so pumped. But the High Performance Habits, I got it on Audible because I listen to everything, but I'm actually going to buy it in paper form as well, in order to be able to highlight, because there's just definitely things I need to be able to see, I need to be able to refer back to. He really gives a lot of concrete advice for habits that you can implement in your life. You know, I feel like we have so much going on, especially when we're entrepreneurs and small business owners. We have so many different hands and so many different pies. Is that the appropriate way to say that? We have so many hats that we wear. Let me just find another analogy. That it can be a little bit overwhelming. So having some good habits in order to perform at your highest level is, I think, invaluable. And so that's what I'm really trying to seek and trying to ask and trying to figure out in my life. How can I implement strategic habits in my life that will keep me performing at peak performance, right? I feel like I'm about to be like Ann Curtin. But another thing that I have actually been reading, So again, this is another thing that I'm really glad that I have a hard copy of. So I posted about this on my stories if you guys saw it, but The War of Art, I know this is backwards right now, but The War of Art, I got this from my business coach when I signed up with her, and I was like, oh, this looks so good, and it's a pretty easy read. You know, there's lots of space. Who doesn't love that? It makes you feel like you're really working at peak performance because you can read it so fast. But it's been sitting on my nightstand for quite a while, being like, oh, I'm gonna read it one day, because who has extra time ever? So The War of Art I've just been devouring it now. I'm obsessed. Break through the blocks and win your inner creative battles. So I really do feel like sometimes I really struggle with procrastination, not doing what I know is actually what's important. You know, I will sit there and I will check things off my to-do list, and I will process a wedding, and I will respond to emails, because those are quick things that give you that burst of energy, like you're really doing something good for your business, that you're accomplishing something. But really, if you think about it, what's the bigger goal that you have for your business? Where do you want your business to go? If I'm responding to emails, if I'm being, like, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not being proactive, I'm being reactive, right? I'm responding what everyone else needs from me without actually intentionally thinking about what my business needs in order to move forward, in order to do things that I want it to do new things. So I really can get stuck in that place where I enjoy the things that I can quickly accomplish, and then I can check off the list. But really what I need to be doing is the bigger projects that are harder to do, right? And this is why I always go on those business trips away from my children, because I need space in my mind and a certain chunk of time sometimes to really get things done that are new and difficult and can be more challenging because you haven't done it before. I think I talked last week about, where did I find this book? Last week I was talking about, how I had those 5 days away from my children, which was amazing. And I spent the first day doing things like emails and processing things that needed to get done. I felt so great. And then the second day I said, all right, now I'm gonna work on this big project that I'm really struggling with. And it was like, wah, wah, like I just could not break through these blocks that were just keeping me from accomplishing this task. And I think that I probably I needed more, I needed that time in that space to kind of like struggle through it, right? And I had a whole day where I did not feel like I accomplished anything, which the inner high performer in me like hated that. But sometimes I need to give myself that time. I need to sit in the uncomfortableness of not being able to complete a task in order to break down that barrier. So the next day, I did a personal project, which I'm really excited about. And then the next day, I came home and all of a sudden, the project was flowing. So it was something about doing something outside of my comfort zone, or doing something new that was like creatively fueling me and that wasn't for my business, that allowed me to break through that barrier and allowed me to see a bigger picture and to be more intentional with what I was creating, with the new project that I was working on. So this War of Art too is really speaking to me. So I'm still in the first part, and it's talking about resistance. It's like, I know exactly what you're talking about when you say resistance, but basically saying that whenever we're trying to do a new project, whenever we're trying to do something big, whenever we're starting something new, and if we really, really care about it, if we're really passionate about it, we're gonna have a lot of resistance to it. Our mind, our human minds is just gonna like come up with some fear or some excuse as to why you can't do it, and that this is just innately in us. And he actually says in the very beginning of it, he says, he's obviously a writer, and what he says is that, there's a secret that real writers know that wannabe writers don't, and that secret is this: it's not the writing part that's hard. What's hard is sitting down to write. I mean, truth bomb right there, right? sometimes it's not the work that's actually the hard part. It's allowing ourselves the space and the time to actually sit down and do that work. There's so many distractions. There's my email box with new emails dinging in every second. There's phone calls and kids and coffee and dishes in the sink and all these things that are trying to prevent you. That resistance loves to push you towards doing those things that you already know how to do, that aren't part of the real work. So I wanted to read a couple of these things that I highlighted. This one: procrastination is the most common manifestation of resistance because it's the easiest to rationalize. I mean, duh. We don't tell ourselves, I'm never going to write my symphony. Instead, we say, I'm going to write my symphony. I'm just going to start tomorrow. How many times have I said that, right? It's just human nature. But how do we work through this? I haven't got to that part of the book yet. So this one's talking about resistance and fundamentalism. These are not easy questions. Who am I? Why am I here? They're not easy because the human being isn't wired to function as an individual. We're wired to be tribally, to act as a part of a group. This is really interesting to me, and my sister Cindy really challenged me to think about this, and kind of when we think about who we are as human beings and people, to really think not just us, but let's think about think about the evolution of humankind and where we are today and where we came from, right? So thinking about families and us living in these homes and these boxes as family units, separated from our other family and from other people. We create these walls around us that separate us from the outside world. That is actually a pretty new concept. Isn't that crazy to think about, the fact that we as human beings used to live in tribes, used to always live near other family very close by that helped us to raise children or to do what we needed to do, and had that kind of community and had that kind of support, and emotional and physical support, that I believe that we as people are now struggling with today. Like, we don't have that same support, and our psyches and who we are wired to be tribal. Anyways, we could get really into that, but it's a little woo, but you know what I'm saying. All right, resistance and self-doubt. This is a huge one. Self-doubt can be an ally. This is because it serves as an indicator of aspiration. It reflects love of something we dream of doing and desire to do it. If you find yourself asking yourself and your friends, am I really a writer? Am I really an artist? Chances are you are. The counterfeit innovator is wildly self-confident. The real one is scared to death. I love that, because I remember when I first started my photography business and I was scared to death, right? And that fear indicates that we're doing something that we love, that we care about the outcome of what we're doing. And it's like, we as artists think, oh, am I really an artist? Or, I have all this self-doubt, like, who am I? And it's like, that fear is actually an indicator of the fact that you love it and that you really are. Thank you. It's like a blanket, right? So much, the love. So anyways, those are just some ones that and I've only read like 50 pages of ones that I really loved from this book. So The War of Art. And thank you to my friend Jenna, if she watches this, because she was like, have you read that book yet? And I hadn't. So I'm really excited that she convinced me to pick it back up again. So yes, let's talk a little bit about the client experience a little bit more. So if you guys have not downloaded my freebie, please go to the link in my bio, click on it, and you can download the free PDF. I know that you guys, if you've signed up for my newsletter previously, don't worry. We go to far lengths in order to make sure that we don't send out duplicate emails to people. So, but you still have to put your email in there and get the download, and I really want to hear what you think. So this is really like, for this channel, actually, let's talk about for a second the fact that we want to take care of our clients. I believe I talked about this a little bit last week, but the reason why we want to love our clients is, number one, we just want to love our clients, right? Here they are. There's so many people in the community that are incredibly talented artists, and our clients have chosen us, and I feel incredibly grateful for that opportunity and for that trust. and really want to go above and beyond to show my gratefulness for that, and take care of them and have them have a joyful experience with me and that really have fun. Especially with photography, I think sometimes people can be a little bit anxious about seeing themselves in film or seeing themselves in pictures and worrying that they're not going to look their best. So really trying to put people at ease, and to just reinforce having a good experience, and for me to be someone that they can rely on and trust and have a good experience with. So that's kind of the initial reason why I want to take care of my clients. But secondary to that, and what actually happens because of that, is that you create this beautiful referral source of people that have worked with you before, that know you so well, and then they're able to tell their friends and family, who you are if they need a photographer. Also, I feel like when you're taking care of your clients, you also have incredible coordinators and designers and florists and caterers and other vendors in the industry that take notice of you taking care of your clients, and then will then refer you as well. Just like, I'm always, if I'm meeting a new person at a wedding, if they really go above and beyond, or I feel like did a beautiful job, then I'm adding them to my list of people that I refer. And that if people ask me for who is your favorite caterer or florist, is one that I get asked a lot. So just really thinking about that, and thinking about the fact that, every opportunity, every wedding is an opportunity to meet more people and to create another community that will then refer you, and then we'll continue to grow a thriving business. So what I wanted to talk, one of my top tips, the first one is one of my favorites, is saying thank you. And I was just talking to someone the other day about this, about how when they first started their business, they didn't even think to thank the people, their clients, that first hired them. And this is just a powerful show of gratitude, and of like kind of starting off the relationship on a good note, is just, when you book me, then I send a thank you note, or a thank you gift, or something of that nature. So I used to like handwrite notes, and I sent this book called Love. It was like a love poems, and I loved it so much, but then I got really overwhelmed. Actually putting together the gifts myself, I started to fall off the bandwagon and not follow through with sending this gift when things got really busy. So now there are so many great companies that you can hire, either for one-off gifts or for kind of creating a more branded gift and suite for you specifically. So I use Teak Twine. They do a beautiful job. They have tons of gifts at many different price points, and literally it's just like a click of a button. So I go in, I find a gift that was like, my colors, something that I think my clients will enjoy, and choose that one, select a handwritten note, write out the note, and then basically within 5 minutes, I'm able to kind of show my gratitude and fulfill that, rather than what I was trying to do before, which was to have all these boxes and all these packaging items. And I wanted to make it look beautiful because I'm a perfectionist, and I'm visually want it to be up to my level. And I feel like I was not able to do that when I was doing it myself. Another couple companies that I really think are great, Knack, is really kind of cute and more modern than I would say my look and feel is, but some super cute gifts that you can kind of customize and put together, ones that they've already done. So Knack is another one that I would suggest, and then I know that people that use it. Another one is Salt and Pepper Co. They're a little bit more higher end. This is who I eventually want to use. But you have to kind of work, it has to be a certain number of gifts that you're doing and a certain amount of money that you spend, and so it's a little bit higher end, and then they actually work with you to create like a custom gift. So, and you can order like branded ribbon and branded things and have everything be your actual look and feel. So that will be my next step. So Salt and Pepper Co., Knack, and then Teak Twine are my favorite. Do you guys ever have any other companies that you love to use to send gifts to people? What an amazing thing that we're able to do that these days. Think about it. This was not around when I first started my business. When I first joined this earth, there was no internet, and you couldn't just with a click of a button purchase a gift. So I'm very grateful that I'm able to do that. And really, when you're going through your client experience and wanting to set it up in a certain way, really thinking about things that are easy to implement, that can happen with minimal effort, so that you're able to actually implement it and actually do it, so that it's something that's able to be in your workflow and not to actually overwhelm you like I was initially. So yeah, that's my Tuesday today. I hope you guys are doing well. Sorry for my little bit of trauma that I talked about earlier in my live. My son Ash is doing well, is doing good. So I don't want anyone to worry. We are very glad that he is completely normal and doing well today. So fingers crossed that he will continue to do well. So love you guys. Hope you have a good day. And as always, go to the link in my bio again. I was talking about that new freebie that I just released, 5 tips on how to wow your clients and create a beautiful client experience that helps you create a thriving business. So, and then send me your feedback. I want to hear. So love you guys. Have a good one.